It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm okay.
Not bad here.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Nail everything down, people.
Yep.
Well, I did watch a few movies this week. I watched the new Mortal Kombat that they put out on HBO.
Ooh.
I liked it. I don't know if there was books or comic books or anything else outside of the games, or if that came from a comic book series or what. I myself, I'm only familiar with the game. It was probably the first fighting game I ever played. Well, Street Fighter was, but you know, it was among the first few, you know. I liked it. It kind of gave a little bit of background that you didn't get from the game. You know, with some of these characters, they did use the strongest ones, or the originals, I would call, and they left it open because one of the popular guys, I think he came in the second game, they kind of hinted that they're off to find him. So, pretty cool. I liked it. But while I was on HBO, this show popped up called Opal. What is his name? I think it's Jack Stauber. It's either Jack or John Stauber. Let me look that up real quick. Man, have you ever watched something and you're watching it and you're like, wait, you got to stop, you got to start it over, and you got to watch it. And even when you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Most of my favorite movies are that way. What are you talking about?
Same here.
Yeah, his name's Jack Stauber, and the name of the show is Opal. Now, I will tell you guys, I hate to be like this, but they really should have put trigger warning on this little show. It's 12 minutes long, but if you didn't have the best childhood, this is probably not the short clip you should watch, because it does kind of it's dark. It's totally freaking dark. But some of the things that happens, like I said, it's like, am I tripping? Is this what they refer to as flashbacks?
Like you don't know what a flashback is. Come on now.
But at one point, I know I had my mouth open, just kind of like, what? I mean, it's one of those that really kind of messes with your head. I think it's also on YouTube, but like I said, there definitely has a warning on it. If you've been in a bad childhood or an abusive situation, don't watch this one. Skip it. I think Adult Swim has played this one at night, and looking into it, because it was kind of like, I've got to know who the hell this guy is, you know. So looking more into his work, it's typical of what he makes, just kind of weird, trippy. He has another song called The New Normal, which is weird. So if you're looking for something kind of, I don't know.
Out there,
yeah.
Unusual?
Yeah, definitely check him out, because I was impressed. I mean, it was definitely one of those that once you watch it, you just kind of have to sit there for a minute and, okay. Okay, I think this is what happened. I think this is what all this meant, So definitely, like I said, if you guys have got 12 minutes and you're in a good state of mind, definitely check that out. It's
Oh,
pretty
shit,
cool.
that's me out then. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I've watched a lot, but I can't really. I know there was something else I watched, but I can't think of what it is.
That good, huh?
It was that good. Maybe it was Justice League again. I don't know. Kidding. It wasn't
Ouch.
that bad.
I think we don't need to go back there already. Damn.
But I've been
Maybe
wanting.
it may have been the black hole. You never know.
Yeah, it may have been.
Mm.
With
Just
Steve
this
McQueen.
blob in my memory,
Yeah.
But I've also heard of HBO put Superman and Lois on there, and I think it's the first. Is it 5 episodes that they
Five
have?
episodes. Yep.
Yep. And I haven't seen it yet. I have it set to watch, but I haven't yet. But I've heard some really good things about it, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of excited to see where this goes. And here's a little bit of tea for you guys.
Oh,
Have you
no.
heard that Michael Keaton was just signed on for a Batman movie. And they've got Ben Affleck coming back for a Batman movie. I don't know if this is Flash or what they're doing, but so far right now we have 3 Batmans. We have Michael Keaton, Robert Pattinson, and Ben Affleck. Well, from what I'm hearing, Robert Pattinson is pretty upset because he's mad at the Snyderverse. He doesn't think they should have put that out before they put Batman out. Because, if you think about it, when any Batman has ever had movies, trilogies, or whatever, they've been the only Batman. That's kind of like their run on it, and he's feeling now that he's not getting that. And people aren't as excited about what he's doing because now you have Michael Keaton that just signed on for Batman, So I thought that was kind of interesting that they said he's kind of been a little bit of a diva about it.
There's one thing you can do to rectify that.
Not be Batman.
Put something out there.
Yeah.
If there's people that don't seem all that excited about your movie, put something out there, just a little bit of a clip or something to get people excited. It happens all the damn time.
Yeah.
Because people have forgotten. There's been nothing about the last thing I've heard anything about that film was him having COVID.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I do understand that when COVID started, a lot of things were put on hold. And right after COVID started, DC did their, I forgot what they called it now, but it was 48 hours online where they did the talks and all that other kind of stuff. And that's when they put out the Batman trailer. And that's the last thing I really remember hearing about it, I feel like they've hyped up other things. I mean, especially the Snyderverse was hyped up a lot more than they've hyped this Batman movie up.
Well, a lot of that hype has come from other sources than Warner Brothers.
Overzealous fans.
The fans, Snyder himself, the blog sites. I mean, hell, that movie has been out over a month, and there's still something coming out almost on a daily basis. So, well, this is what Snyder was going to do if he was able to finish up the Justice League films and this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's not going to happen. So why are you still? And of course, their sources is a YouTube video. So it's because of him. He's still talking about it. He says, I'm not going to do this. I'm moved on. I did my film. I'm moving on. But he still talks about it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not going to go away until you shut up or move on to something else. And he's got another movie coming out. It's some kind of zombie flick that Batista's in.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called right now. You should be really kind of promoting this. This one's coming out here in the next few months. So why are you talking about this film that you said, okay, it's completed. I did what I wanted to do. I'm done with these characters. And I'm okay with that.
Because he's not done. He's not done. The way he ended that movie lets you know right then and there. I don't care if everyone was like, well, that's the way he had planned it and da-da-da-da-da. No, he's not done. What he's going to do is what he did to get that one done. He's going to sit back on his ass and let his fans go crazy, go nuts, start trolling people all over again so he can get his way and he can do what he wants again. That's what's going to happen. I can almost mark it on your calendars. I said it this day. That's what's going to happen because he's not done. He left too many things open. He set up too many other things.
Then he's effectively sabotaging anything else that they're planning to do, which they didn't have much of a plan anyway, because that seems to be their method for the last 2-3 decades.
Well, and don't you kind of agree with Patson, though? I think Snyder took a big shit on his parade. This should have been his time, It should have been his run, he should have been like Christian Bale at the time. It was his run. He was Batman, There was no other Batmans running around. There were no other stories running around. This was what was going on right now, And I don't think that we've given that to Patson.
Yes and no, but like I said, I go back to what my solution is. Start pubbing it.
Yeah.
That,
Well, the only thing they really want to pop is his diva behavior. That's the only thing I've heard about Batman here lately is the drama. He's bad on set, and I've heard this before about him. I don't think he's a bad person or he's a mean person. He's very, very into method acting. He gets into that character, and that's who he is until the movie's done. He did it for Twilight. He did it for a couple of his army shows he did, So I think maybe what they're seeing is him being...
I want to see somebody method act a sparkly vampire. That's what I want to see.
Right. But, you have to be like all emo and broody and,
Okay.
Get away from the werewolf.
By that same token, is Jared Leto a diva?
Yeah.
Because we heard the stories about Suicide Squad.
He took it too far, though. That was just...
He takes Jiva straight over the line into nut job.
Yeah, I mean, he put rats in their dressing rooms. That's just gross. That's like a health violation. I would have been very upset,
But it's method acting. There's a lot of actors that do that, and that's... I think I've read somewhere about stories about Nicholson saying, guys, I think he was talking to Ledger or something like that, or something about you got to be careful with this particular character because it's going to stick with you.
Yeah. If you do something too well, that's what people expect,
But I've heard stories of actors who get into their character too well and then cause issues. But them not talking about the film, that's because they're not talking about the film. I mean, what are you expect? What are you expecting if there's not? I mean, I don't know if they're finished filming. I don't know any of that. I would assume so because it's supposed to be out early next year or some such. I don't remember the release date because everything's got so shifted so much that I don't know.
Yeah.
But like you said, there was that trailer over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
It was a teaser trailer. It's time for another trailer. It's time for them to say, "Hey guys, y'all need to get excited. This is coming. It's going to be great. Watch."
Especially with, like you said, if the filming's all done, you have a lot of material, you can put a good trailer together.
The only thing I've heard anything closely associated to this is the talk about the HBO Max series that was going to be spun off of this. And even then, some of the talk I heard about that was, it was funny because Kevin McGuire tweeted about this and was saying, okay, y'all are basically going to do Gotham Central, but y'all are not going to call it Gotham Central, so you don't have to pay Ed Brubaker and some of these others who created the freaking comic. And I was like, well, yeah, you kind of got a point there, but that's it. They're talking about this spin-off of a movie that y'all are not even pumping. Y'all are not promoting, saying it's coming.
Yeah.
And, so why should I get excited about a series that's going to be spun off of a movie that y'all are not even talking about?
Yeah. Well, they did the same thing to Joker, too, though. They kind of sat on it and did everything they could to distance themselves from that movie,
I think they are so obsessed about HBO Max and trying to make sure it succeeds that everything else is so secondary. I mean, they came out and talked about, look at all these new subscribers we got last month. Well, hello, Justice League. Come back to me in about 2 or 3 months and see. Let's compare the numbers then. Yeah.
Well, I think King Kong versus Godzilla, they did pretty well on that one too.
Well, I don't know. It seems like that's if these Einsteins, and I'm using air quotes here,
in case we weren't sure, right?
Right. If they're concerned about the fact that they're not talking about the Batman film, they're like, it's so damn simple that an idiot like me in the middle of the country says that here's how you fix it. It's so obvious, just something. I mean,
I have an idea.
What?
So you've got 3 Batmans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all we need to do is, okay, so we take those 3, and we get Kevin Conroy, and we get Diedrich Bader, and we get Christian Bale, and we get George Clooney. And we
Val Kilmer?
And we put no, that would just be crazy. And we get them all together to make Snow White and the 7 Batmans. Copyright me, bitches.
I thought you were going to have them do a bat dance off.
That would be awesome.
I would watch that
too.
if it was animated.
Have them do the Bat-Tusi.
Oh, they would fail because there's only one person who could do that, and he's no longer with us.
I don't know. Burton, the guy who played Robin. What's his name?
Burt Ward?
Burt Ward. Yep, Burton. I have Tim Burton on the head. He might be able to do it.
No kidding.
That's a given, really.
Yes. So what were you saying? What were you saying about Burton?
I was saying he could do it. Burt Ward.
I don't know.
No, but to bring it back around, I'm surprised that show Opal, that Tim Burton didn't have anything to do with it. I'm kind of shocked.
Now, the comment about Gotham Central is interesting because this would not be the first time TV has taken a Marvel or a DC idea and, quote, made it their own. When you look at Fables was made into the ABC TV series Once Upon a Time or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it was. And if I remember, it was pitched The original.
Yeah.
Uh,
Willingham pitched it like several weeks prior to their announcement. Oh, we got this new series, Once Upon a Time.
I
yeah.
like Once Upon a Time.
Well, then you
But-
probably like Fables.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd love Fables. Fables was great stuff.
So,
I think we handled that pretty good.
well, they had a blueprint.
Yeah.
That they didn't have to pay for.
Mm.
All right. Anything else, Liz?
No. I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, before she changes her mind.
Yes.
Oh, but wait.
No. You said that was
But
it.
wait,
No.
there's more.
No.
The baton has been passed.
This is not an infomercial, damn it. We're not doing that. Now, how much would you pay? The same old nothing everybody pays for this podcast because it's free, because we love everybody.
See, I bring things that we all talk about, so it's not just me.
Yeah, y'all should have heard the pre-show discussion. That was very different. But
Yeah,
anyway.
we could shut less up, man.
Yeah, like it takes a lot to do that.
So anyway,
Save us.
I don't think anybody could save us now. So I did actually. I feel a little bad. I mean, I shouldn't because it wasn't my fault. But I actually did manage to watch a couple of documentaries. The kicker though is that I didn't really like either of them enough to share them all that much. So I'm not really going to name names. Well, they were about
No documentaries for you.
they were about interesting bands, but I don't think they handled them all that well. There was one about Queen, and it was very focused on Freddie and like from a weird distance because there wasn't like any actual information in it. It was just sort of kind of rumors and a couple of people that knew him and were willing to talk about him on camera decades after he died. So it was a little weird. Very little treatment of the other members of the band. I mean, they got mentioned kind of in passing for the most part, which sucks because...
And the rest.
Yeah, pretty much. And the Pink Floyd one was actually not that different in that it really did an awful lot of focusing on Syd Barrett and kind of the kind of his career, as it were, and his basically mental illness. And I mean, which was weird in an hour and a half long documentary that I swear more than an hour they spent talking about Sid, which, you know, I mean, the Sid story is interesting and sad, but a lot, and the other weird thing about that one was that the music for the documentary was essentially kind of artist interpretations of their music, which they didn't even do. Yeah, it was. I mean, there was some. I swear it was like the Muzak version.
Zemfir.
Yeah, it was so weird. And then they didn't like. And then it was just particular parts of stuff just sort of randomly stuck in there. I mean, so they're talking about like the end of like when basically Sid got, for lack of a better term, fired from the band, basically because he just didn't show up anymore, and they just stopped going to pick him up because honestly he would just show up and just sit cross-legged on the stage and not do anything anyway, which is a bitch out of your lead guitarist and singer. That's a tricky position to be in, let me tell you. But yeah, they're playing like a weird Muzak version of Comfortably Numb while they're talking about this. And I'm like, Sid had nothing to do with Comfortably Numb, let me tell you. Nothing. That was Roger Waters' mental breakdown, not Syd Barrett's. You want to hear the band's interpretation of Syd Barrett's breakdown, listen to Wish You Were Here. But anyway, yeah, so it was a very weird and disjointed. I mean, it was the people they were talking to were like friends from the early days, and they seemed like very nice people, and they had some interesting stories about the band. But it just, yeah, it was. I wouldn't recommend it as a Pink Floyd documentary. It would have been much better if they had just titled it as a Syd Barrett documentary, which would have been fine, but the rest of it was just weird. So, like I said, I wouldn't really recommend either of them. But I did get to play D&D this weekend, so that at least kind of made things fun. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Top that, Les.
How do I top 3 yays?
Well, given that they were all sympathetic yays, and they only came from 2 people, so somebody yayed twice, you know. No, actually, I think I yayed myself, which really doesn't count.
I think you did.
We'll follow with a harump, then.
We need to take umbrance. I found a movie that I'm going to recommend. You've seen Cowboys and Aliens, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
We're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, this is not an auspicious start, by the way, but yeah, go ahead.
Maybe.
I saw one that took the mixed genre a different direction. We've seen Cowboys and Aliens, so this time we got cowgirls versus pterodactyls.
Oh God, Les, please no, please no, please tell me this is not. Say it ain't so.
Sorry, it is true. It is there.
We're watching it movie night next week.
Oh, geez, I think I got plans.
It is horrible. Even I thought it was horrible, so that tells you how bad it really was.
So you loved it?
No. I was going, okay, I would keep stopping the broadcast so I could figure out how much time is left before this POS is done. And the thing was, I stuck through it. I don't have a reason. Could say it was my Robert Pattinson mental health or something. But
you're probably like me. Once you put 30 minutes into something, you're like, man.
I am that way.
I've
made it this far. Let's just.
Yeah. Not, I wasted 30 minutes.
That's right.
Just buckle down, staple my eyelids open, and get through it.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, then I feel like I'm in
Racer
hell.
No. Clockwork Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Where they pry your eyes open and say, watch this.
Watch the propaganda. Watch the propaganda.
So, stay away. It's not worth the time or effort. And there is definitely not a good enough punch to it to me to say that this was a good movie in any way, shape, or form. So that's about what I got.
Good to know.
Sounds decent.
Now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Well, for me, not a whole heck of a lot. I did watch part of an interview, and I really, after after watching this, I was like, there really needs to be kind of. I would love to see a documentary, but I don't know if it ever happened. But it was an interview with G.E. Smith. And this was actually in on one of the, I forgot where it was from, but it was regarding television. So it was talking basically, it led up to where he did the 10-year tenure on Saturday Night Live as the musical director. But the interview obviously started from his beginnings and all that, and it was an hour, almost an hour long, but he had some great stories, and it was. If someone just sit down and just start recording these stories, it would have be awesome to hear, because he was talking. He's a really cool guy, and he's very much one of these that, hey, I lucked into a lot of things. I know that, and I appreciate that, and that kind of thing. It talked about how he started playing guitar. He was actually given a guitar when he was 7, and I was trying to remember, it was I think so. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, but he basically started kind of just learning real young, and of course he was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and it's some of the stories, just talking about how he just decided to go up to Connecticut and was trying to get jobs there to eventually get to go to New York, because he knew that's where it needed to be. And talk about how he became a studio musician for a short time, and then and through that, through some knowing people and that kind of things, all of a sudden he's handling the music for Gilda Radner's Tour in the late 70s. And I didn't know this, but they were married at one point. Did y'all know that?
No.
But him being married to Gilda Radner, then all of a sudden he's hanging around the Saturday Night Live stage, and he knew Lorne Michaels well before then, but he got to the point where people knew him, and so when they were looking for a new director, they talked to him, and hey, I'll do it. And at that time, he had been touring with he had been part of the Hall & Oates band, Daryl Hall, John Oates, and that was interesting how that all happened. He was talking about they were recording an album, and he didn't say what album this was. It was like 77, 78, somewhere around there. And they were looking for a certain sound for this recording, and the guitarist they had at the time was just not hitting it. So a friend of GE says, "Well, guys, you really need to check out this guy. He's really good. I think he can do it." So they called, management or someone called GE and said, "Hey, we want you to come down to the studio and do an audition." He was like, "Okay, sure." And then at some point later, he got a call again and says, "Well, don't come to the studio. Why don't you go to Daryl's apartment?" Oh, okay. So he goes to Daryl's apartment, comes in, he's got his guitar and all that, and they started talking about each other's clothes. And then they just started kind of chit-chatting about everything. And GE goes, "Well, okay, you want me to pull the guitar out and start kind of do a little audition?" And Daryl's like, "No, you got the job."
That's cool.
Dang.
But it's just some of these stories. It was really cool to listen to, and he's a really laid back, cool guy. So I definitely recommend checking that out. We'll get a link in the show notes for that. Another thing was I watched a movie for the first time in a long, long time. And I guess with being that far away for that period of time, or me just getting older, or a combination of things, or something. It just kind of struck me different as I was watching it. And then I got in about 5 or 10 minutes in. It was the first Star Wars from '77, and it kind of just. I'm sitting here going, it was really cool that Alec Guinness decided to do this, because he didn't do sci-fi. This was the only sci-fi he's done in his entire career. And he almost didn't do it because it was sci-fi. But he read the script and goes, okay, well, this is a nice little story. I think I want to be a part of it. And then, of course, Peter Cushing. So that added something to it. I'm not sure what would be the right word to it, to the film. But watching that and thinking back over the entire 9 films, I was like, this is the most fun film out of all of them. I had never thought about that before. There's something about this film that it's so much fun, and then the other films really just don't match up to it. I mean, they're not going to be literally the same. We know that, although you can make comments about Phantom Menace and Force Awakens being literal reworks of A New Hope. But it wasn't the same kind of fun. Now, I don't know if that's nostalgia or what, but it was like, this is fun watching this film again. I mean, am I crazy here?
No. I mean, yeah, but no. I liked the first one better than all of them, too.
It's kind of always been my favorite of them.
Well, I've always... go ahead, Les. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the first one was new, different, and was handled extremely differently than the followings. But this one was so good that I watched it so many times when it was in the theater and still loved it. So I'm with you.
Yeah, it almost benefited from the fact that they didn't know what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of the lightning in the bottle. It's the one that they kept trying to do better, to improve on, and never managed to do it. They tended to bog everything else. They tended to bog down in something else when they tried to make a better movie, and it just never worked. It's the one that works the best.
They set a bar, and they kept trying to go over it.
Right. If they had just recognized that they were never going to improve it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they could change. You can change it effectively without improving it, without trying to improve it. And if they had ever just figured that out, they would have made some fun stuff, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those where I think they actually kind of learned the wrong lessons from that experience.
Alrighty. Before we get into this week's discussions, I kind of want to point out that we do have a Discord where we post a lot of news items, some fun-related stuff. We have exclusive activities, monthly activities. We're wrapping. By this time this drops out, we would be wrapping. We already wrapped up April and started into May. We've got something fun for May, we think. We do our monthly gatherings in our voice channel. So we just say, talk about what's going on and all that. So y'all are more than welcome to come join us. Sign up to Discord is free. The app is free. We do have our invite on the homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. So, yeah, come join us if you enjoy the show and you kind of want to hang out with us and talk about some of the stuff that's going on. Y'all are more than welcome. All right. Sci-Fi Month continues.
Oh wait, this was a sci-fi movie? Kidding.
Kinda. His gun?
Anyway. It's listed as sci-fi, so I mean it could be an action film, but yeah.
Yeah.
1981's John Carpenter's Escape from New York. So who would like to kind of go first, and let's start discussing this film?
Well, I'll admit this was my first time seeing this one too.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is one of those that I think I meant to watch it, and I was told so much about it that I thought I did
never
watch
got around to it, right? Fair enough. I've got movies like that too.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool seeing the MASH guys, the president.
Wait, what?
What was his name? Wasn't that?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't him?
It was Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was...
Dr. Loomis from Halloween.
Oh, okay. I knew he looked familiar.
You watched The Blob again, didn't you?
Yes.
I think I did. He reminds me of Charles. No, not Charles. The real uppity guy on MASH that liked classical music.
Yeah, that was
Charles
Emerson Winchester III, yeah.
Yeah, that's who he reminded me of in this role.
That's funny.
I think he'd put a little weight on since the other ones I've seen him in.
And grew a few inches too by the looks of it.
Yeah, you know.
A good foot, in fact. But yeah.
I thought this one was kind of weird. I think I've mentioned Lord of the Flies more than once in this sci-fi thing.
It seems to be a theme with you, yeah.
Right. I would like to, okay. I understand the premise is these are the worst of the worst. So they've walled off Manhattan, and it's like a prison. They're left there. There's no cops. There's no nothing. This is the world you created. Now you live in it. Okay, I understand that for rapists and murderers and even pedophiles. You know, hey, let's lock them up and throw them on an island. But the guy, Kurt Russell, was his name Jack in this?
Snake.
He robbed a bank. So they're going to put a bank robber with pedophiles and murderers, and I didn't get that because he didn't kill anybody. He just robbed a bank. It's kind of like the difference of sending him to Arkham Asylum and what's the other one, Blackwater or
Blackgate.
Blackgate. You know, this is the heart of the heart, and you're kind of sending someone who, for one, robbing a bank is a federal crime. And we all know in real life that's kind of like a daycare they send you to. I mean, it's still prison, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to have rapists and murderers and all that other kind of stuff in a federal prison like that.
And cabbies, apparently.
And cabbies, yeah.
You gotta wonder what cabbie did, yeah. That's
drove on the wrong side of the road.
Seemed like a nice guy
anyway. Listen to the
anyway.
wrong music.
Yeah, the American Bandstand theme, apparently.
So they threw him in here, and he's got to find the president because the president's airplane was hijacked, and he fell into this prison area. I'm just giving a breakdown. So it's up to Snake to go in and get him out. And kind of like a Suicide Squad kind of thing, they put these capsules in his neck that'll explode in 22 hours or whatever it was. So he's got to go in and get him out. It wasn't bad. I thought when I saw the title of this movie, it reminded me of the one that
Lord of the Flies.
Right. That Bruce Willis did with, was it Lilu or
The Fifth Element?
Fifth Element?
Fifth Element. Okay. I guess, wasn't she trying to escape from a city too?
She was lost in the city.
Yeah,
she
I
tried
don't know
to
why I got
escape
those
from
two.
the lab and was lost in the city and didn't speak the language or anything.
Yeah. I don't know why I got
But
those two confused.
that's
So I was
interesting.
really surprised when I turned this on.
Wow.
Really surprised. Checked to make sure I was watching the right movie. But yeah,
Good to hear.
was this made around the same time he did Big Trouble?
This is a few years before Big Trouble.
Okay. They kind of reminded me of the same kind of movie. Kind of cheesy, campy.
No argument here.
I mean, it wasn't bad.
Right.
To me, I didn't get the whole, like I said, throwing a bank robber into Alcatraz, you know. But
I think the implication was that he had done other stuff than that. That the bank robbery
Yeah.
was just what they caught him for.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because they offered him a chance to drop all of those charges, all of the charges he had against him, if he did this and succeeded.
Yeah. If he rescued the president, then he would have been pardoned. Oh.
Yep. And if he didn't, his head would explode. But anyway.
Yeah. You have a choice.
Minor setback.
Yeah. We only told you this after we injected you, but, you know.
And only because the scientists got uppity.
Yeah,
But
had
anyway, Right.
Spoke out of turn.
to. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
it wasn't bad. I've watched a lot worse. I wouldn't turn it off if it came on again, you know.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with your comparison to Big Trouble, but only because the only reason it compares in my head was because in Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell was channeling Jack Burton. Kurt Russell was channeling John Wayne when he was playing Jack Burton. Jeez, where's my brain? And in this movie, Kurt Russell was channeling Clint Eastwood.
I could see that.
But anyway, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's certainly how it sounded to me.
Yeah.
This Escape from New York actually kind of struck me, and I've seen it before, but it didn't. I don't know. It didn't. It's kind of sat in my head a little differently this time, I think. It really seemed like Carpenter kind of recreating a spaghetti western in a post-apocalyptic setting. I don't know how realistic that assessment is, but that's kind of where my brain went with it.
Yeah. I could see that.
Which in and of itself is actually not a bad thing. I like that aspect of it. It makes for an interesting. It's an interesting twist on a few things. It lets him twist some things in different ways, and you get some interesting characters out of the deal, because there's always interesting characters in a spaghetti western. There's not always a plot in a spaghetti western, but he actually managed to have something of a plot, although the ending was a little odd for my taste here. But overall, yeah, I would say I like this movie for sure.
The ending was kind of weird. I loved the president at the very end, though. That was hilarious.
Oh, see, the president irritated the hell out of me from the minute he got on screen. Which is weird, because I like Donald Pleasance. I mean, I think if he was doing what he was doing on purpose, then the man's an acting genius. because boy was the president obnoxious.
Yes.
From start to finish. I mean, holy cow. What a weasel. That there was absolutely nothing likable about him. And, I mean, one of the weird things about this movie is that there are almost no likable characters at all in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got to like Cabby, because who doesn't love Ernest Borgnine? But,
Right.
and he's just this weird ray of sunshine in this movie. In this whole setting. It was just,
yeah.
it was, honestly,
It
it
felt
was
out of place.
Yeah, it just was weird, and that makes it kind of great in its own way. But yeah, there was
It's even sadder when spoiler alert, when he dies, because he was one of the only likable ones.
Yep, possibly the only likable character. I mean, it's even hard to like Snake. A lot of
he was just so cocky.
He was cocky, and I mean, what in the see, and this is, we get to the ending real fast on this one. What the hell was the point of what he did at the end? I mean, that's just that was. I almost liked him up to that point, and then I'm like, nope, this guy's an asshole. I mean, that's just destruction for pure destruction's sake.
Yeah.
But anyway, that said, I like the movie.
Well, I'm glad someone did.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Explain a couple things to me. What is with Carpenter's ideas of time of day? When, at the first of the movie, they transport Snake onto the island, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The what was it? The Liberty Island?
Yeah, that's where the base was, the headquarters.
Right. Okay. And he was asked to save the president. The problem is, he was not sent there to save the president.
No.
The notice of the president's plane going down was after Jack had arrived on the island.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave no indication that Jack was brought here specifically to save the president.
I think it was like a happy accident.
I am also now sorry I mentioned Jack Burton. Because now we're going to go back and forth calling him Jack and Snake.
Okay, thank you. But call me Snake.
But yeah, he was already there. He was basically, they were already bringing him there when that happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So to me, that was mistake number one. And that was very early in the whole process.
5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was the assistant played by veteran actor Tom, what was his last name? Atkins, who shows up in buku films by Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
But for some unknown reason, they played on that part. When Jack was in his fist fight, or his survival fight, they did not have a record of him on the system, right? Somebody had taken that band, and of course, when he won the match, that's the first thing he did was grab that band and activated it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, somebody said, well, anybody could have done that. Van Cleef said they didn't know the access. They didn't know how to do this. Now,
they didn't know how to push the button.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The Hawk, played by Van Cleef, was gearing up to send the whole squad of helicopters in, and they were firing them up, and he came back out and said, "Hold up, tell them to hold. I'll give them just another 15 minutes or something." When he gave that statement, it was midday. Sun was bright. It was midday. Jack was in his fight. He won the fight. They escaped. They went to the tower to get the plane, and he got up there, and his compatriots were there in a shootout. Harry Dean Stanton called them Redskins. The Redskins cut the cable, sent the plane plummeting. Now, when Jack got there, it was midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It was dark as can be. It could not have taken him that long to go up that staircase and have the hours change that much. When they were finally rescued, you could see that the sun was about to come up. Well, to me, then he blew his assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the middle of the night when he left, and it's only supposed to be 22 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get dawn on the second day in 22 hours. Yeah, yeah.
I had problems. And I know that it's picking nits, but that's what I felt. I thought,
Well, in a movie where
solid.
time is such a big importance, they could have paid a little bit more attention to that.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because that was one of the reasons people thought Ed Wood's movie,
Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Plan 9, yes, Plan 9 was so bad because he did not have a concept of time. And it's true. He filmed middle of the day and it's supposed to be night and vice versa. So I will give people that, but to stand and applaud Carpenter for doing the same thing, no. I'm not pleased.
Yep. I hadn't really noticed that until you pointed it out.
That's why I like bad movies, because I can pick them apart like that, too.
You notice those things.
Besides, are you trying to tell me that you can't run up 50 stories in a building upstairs with a crossbow bolt through your leg in 15 minutes? Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
Yeah, how come you could hobble it sometimes and others that, I'm fine, I can run this without a problem.
I was half surprised that the eye patch didn't switch eyes a couple of times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It just, I almost, if I was in Carpenter's shoes, I might have done it just to fuck with the audience, just because it would have been fun.
Yeah, just to witness or feel that their jaws dropped and.
Yeah, just to see who notices, just to switch the wounded leg from time to time. So, hey, Kurt, limp on the left leg for a little while. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, now go back to the right. Yeah.
Let's see how that photographs go.
Mm-hmm.
Just reverse the shot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
God, that always bugs me when I watch old Star Trek. and you can see a scene that they clearly reversed a shot on Shatner because his hair looks totally different.
Right, it's swept over to the other side.
Yeah, and then the stars on the other side of the chest. You go, that's no.
Whoops.
Okay.
Yep. Then that's just
Sorry
one
to stir
example.
this up.
No. Stir it up. He needs it.
The wife came through. She said, "Oh, I like this movie." I went, "Okay."
You're like, damn, I may have to watch this again someday.
Well, worse than all, I like the film. I didn't notice the whole thing with the time, but yeah, I mean, it's just some of it doesn't make sense. I get that, but it's a popcorn film, in a way. I kind of treat it as such. I agree. There's not a lot of characters that are very likable. Cabby, you could say something about Adrienne Barbeau's character, maybe. I can't remember what her name was.
Maggie.
Yeah. So Cabby and Maggie, there you go.
Well, and Tom Atkins' character was actually not in the movie long enough to not be likable.
That's true.
So he was there a bit, and he was nice enough when he was there. So I don't remember if he had a name. He might have.
Yeah, he did.
I think he was the one who said the whole thing was a bad idea at the beginning.
And I think Les agrees.
I think that.
You're right.
Les
was worse.
Les wishes he had said it in pre-production, but yeah.
Which was worse? Him doing this movie or me watching it?
He got paid for it, so.
I was about to say he got a check out of that, so yeah.
You did not. Well, if you did, I want to know how that happened. That's for sure.
Really?
Okay, well, I have a theory. Would you like to hear my theory?
Yes, without the comments, but go ahead.
So, I mean...
So he wants you to say the theory without saying the theory. Is that what he just said?
No, I want to hear.
My theory is about Carpenter himself. We've watched and talked about kind of a lot of his movies. I mean, we did a whole flippin' month on him. And we've done a few since. And we've mentioned part of what I'm basing my theory on is the fact that we've mentioned homage quite a bit when talking about Carpenter's movies. I mean, we've always got some idea this movie is an homage to this, and this like Big Trouble in Little China is an homage to martial arts movies, and In the Mouth of Madness is an homage to Lovecraft, and I'm not sure what Escape from New York is an homage to.
Well, he clearly comes out and says Assault on Precinct 13 is Rio Bravo.
Right. So given that there's so much, I mean, given what homage really is, I have a theory, and I would love to find a way to prove this right. But the only way to do that would be to ask him, and there's no way he would give me a straight answer for a question like this. Are all of John Carpenter's movies really just a parody?
Of something else or itself or what? No, I'm kind of serious.
No, I know. That's why that's funny, is because I don't know if I have a straight answer for that. Somewhat both. I mean, if we're calling Big Trouble in Little China a parody of martial arts movies, I mean, yes, I think there's no doubt that it's making fun of itself along the way. But I think it's the kind of thing that I can't quite tell if he's doing it on purpose or if it's just sort of working out that way. I can't tell. He's either a complete and utter genius and he's doing it on purpose and he's sitting at his house right now laughing at the world for not figuring this out yet, or he's not doing it on purpose and it's just turning out that he is paying homage to all of these things and maybe just not doing it all that well sometimes. And I mean, doing it brilliantly other times too, but just kind of hit or miss with it because he's not doing it on purpose, which is why I think my theory is that almost all of his movies are parody and he's doing it on purpose.
Okay.
I think if nothing else, it would make, well, one, it makes this make a little more sense, this movie. It also would make Prince of Darkness make a little more sense. I mean, I would almost be willing to watch that movie again. After I would have sworn when we watched it a couple of years ago that I would never watch that movie again. I'm half tempted to watch it again just to see if it makes more sense if I kind of watch it as a parody.
Is it time to give you an intervention?
You can go for it. You can try.
It says the guy who watched Cowgirls and Pterodactyls. Was that what?
Yeah.
Hey, you could argue that means he knows his shit here, so go for it. Bring it.
No, I'm just saying, do we need to do an intervention to keep you from watching it?
Oh, I thought you meant you were going to try to shoot me down. Shoot my theory down. I was hoping, anyway. That would have been fun. I hope I'm not offending John Carpenter fans out there. I actually consider myself a Carpenter fan. But the deal is I would enjoy his movies a lot more if I thought that he was purposely making fun of his audience while making them. Because I think it would be funny. It's like an ultimate joke.
I saw a documentary about science fiction films, and one of them they talked about was Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
And Carpenter was originally thinking of having Snake Plissken in this movie.
In Jason X?
Yes. The one where Jason is in space.
Yeah. I saw Jason X. I thought it was hilarious.
It was.
It was a blast of a movie. It was terrible, but it was so good at being terrible. And that would have been really, I didn't know Carpenter was involved. And two, why not? I mean, it's way in the future. It wouldn't have to be a real thing. Or it would have been something like Plissken had been frozen somehow and thawed back out or something.
Well, since that's what happened with Jason,
right?
Yeah, I could see them doing that.
Hell yeah, why not? I love that we got all the way to Jason X with this movie. That's great.
Well, I had to get past Ghost of Mars, please.
See, that's another one that proves my point. That's also another one that proves that I don't know if Carpenter's always paying attention by the time he writes the ending of a movie, but anyway, there are times when it seems like he's forgotten the story when he writes the ending, and Escape from New York is one of them, and Ghost of Mars is another.
Yeah.
You'd almost swear he was one of those people that writes the ending and then starts at a beginning point and tries to get there, and sometimes he gets there and sometimes he doesn't, right? He ends up wandering off during the course of making the movie. It doesn't really get to the ending, and so the ending sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, when he yells squirrel.
Uh-huh.
Where?
You're supposed to know not to do that, Les. Come on now.
Yeah.
Anyway, hate me if you want, but that's my theory. I will never be able to prove my theory, but that is my theory.
It's interesting, for sure.
I'm glad you thought about it. Because the writer sure as hell didn't.
Ouch.
Well, I'm glad you thought about it too, because you padded out the podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
On a week when I didn't have to, the opening was plenty long enough. But yeah.
It was a group discussion.
Was it?
It was. In my head, it was.
Oh, no, it was. It totally was. It's okay.
The little voices are extra loud tonight.
Not a problem. Last week was a little short. I needed something to make up for it, I guess. You know. It's all good. It was a good discussion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It was.
So, all of us enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
You sound like you enjoyed it, Les. That was you praising a movie?
I said I was kind of blissful to
I don't think so.
I
some
didn't
of
either.
its tropes and parodies.
I mean, I agree. It's not perfect. Far from it, really. But overall, it was more of a fun watch than you would think from a movie with so many kind of quirks and weirdnesses.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some stretches. I mean, the idea of Manhattan as a walled-off prison is a stretch.
But is it?
Good question.
Now,
Without the wall, did it really look any different?
An island prison is not a stretch.
Yeah.
It being Manhattan is probably a stretch. You would do it on something not quite so civilized.
Prominent.
Is not the right word, but yeah, I mean, the idea. Let's put it this way: for that to happen in any kind of realistic situation, and boy, this is a little off in the weeds. There's no way the buildings would be intact. You'd have to destroy the city. I mean, level it to the ground before you could even consider doing something like that. Just because, I mean, there's freaking 8-9 million people living there right now. What happened to them?
Well, if crime went up 400%, they're probably dead.
I'm not sure crime didn't go up 400% in Dallas last year.
Well, that's what it said in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe it had gotten so bad that they just walled it off because, kind of like that street last year. Remember that? They occupied it for like a month, but half that time it was because everybody was like, nah, why even mess with it? Until they start hurting themselves or other people, just let them be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got an awful lot. I mean, with that large a population, you got an awful lot of innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
That you're basically walling into this prison at this point. I mean,
well, they did say they moved them out.
Yeah, you have to get them out of there.
Because
by the millions,
vehicles,
apparently.
Well, the vehicles that were there were left behind. And that's how the criminals got guns also. It was stuff that was left behind.
Yep.
Okay.
Go with it.
I can't change it now, so that's fine. I'm not.
Just nod and make him think he's right. I know that's what she's saying.
No, I'm saying,
Sure.
That's the way it is.
Sure it is.
Some things will never change. Sorry. And there's people listening to this going, I don't understand that reference. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
I watched that the other day.
Yeah?
Never really a big fan, but I watched the movie, and I said, oh, that's North Park. I started naming the places off that they were filming.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for weekly picks, and leading off this week is Liz.
All right. For my first pick, I'm going with one from Zenoscope. It's Van Helsing's Steampunk. I believe this is another one-shot. This will follow Lucille into Los Angeles. And when she's there on vacation, she winds up coming across some steam-powered villains. So, should be pretty cool. Like I said, I always like the steampunk elements they throw into this. I think she's a perfect character to handle it. So, definitely pick this one up.
Yep, I thought this one looked pretty cool too.
Yep. Same.
Good choice.
Mm-hmm. All righty, Mikey.
Okie dokie. So my first pick is from Image Comics, and I am picking The Good Asian #1. This should be an interesting story. It is the story of a Chinese American detective trying to track down a killer in Chinatown in 1936. So we're looking at kind of a noir vibe with the main character being part of a pretty marginalized group at the time. And I'm not gonna lie, the thing that caught my eye about this one is that the writer is the guy who gave us Infidel. So I have high hopes for this story. I mean, it also sounds like, I mean, I love that noir stuff anyway, so it's kind of right up my alley. So I'm in.
Sounds cool.
Yes, I am.
All right, I am next, and for my first choice, I am going with Star Wars: War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha #1 from Marvel Comics. And you know it wasn't Boba Fett didn't have an easy time getting Han Solo back to Jabba. I'm sure he was attacked all along, and this is going to chronicle that. So all the bounty hunters are going after Boba Fett to get the prized possession of Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
That ought to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it's going to be bounty hunters battling other bounty hunters, kicking each other's ass. So, I mean, hey, why not?
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Les, you are next.
Thank you, sir. From Image Comics, Howard Chaykin is returning to his title, Hey Kids Comics. This one is called Profits and Loss, and Chaykin is dealing with the comic book industry and saying that he doesn't understand that they've been preaching that comics are on their last legs, but the damn business won't die. He looks at it through a creator's eyes and tells the first one was a damn good story. I'm looking forward to this one too. I've just got a feeling that he's going to get some backlash from somebody, but I'm in on this one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I saw this one too. The first one was kind of a brutal thing in its own way, but it was definitely the kind of thing that's worth looking at for sure. So yeah, I'm glad he's doing more.
Cool.
Yeah. And, regarding possible backlash from this, whatever. If you're on Twitter and you follow any creators, if you really want to piss them off, tell them about the business like they don't know what the hell that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is their livelihood. They know a little something. So when us experts, and I'm doing air quotes again, come in and try to tell them something, they rightfully get upset. It's like,
I mean, people don't like to be told they're doing their job wrong. What?
Well, it's not just that, but just they don't know stuff about the industry that they've been working in for a couple of decades or so.
Yeah.
That's just, so I see that every day. So, and I'm sure that's part of the inspiration for Jake in doing this. It's just getting told on a daily basis, you don't know what you're talking about, even though you've been doing comics for what, 40 years, 45 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't know anything. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, he may get flashback, but God, he gets flashback or backlash on a lot of stuff. So he ain't gonna care.
I hope he doesn't care, and I hope he keeps doing it.
But yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one to check out, definitely. Alrighty, Liz.
All right. For my second pick, it's from Boom Studios, and it's called Eve. This will take place, it says, when the ice caps have melted and most of humanity is lost to a hidden disease that was released. This little girl, Eve, I don't think she was supposed to be born because of the state of the world, of what it was in, but she was raised in a virtual reality. Well, from what I've read so far, she has to save her father, which takes her out of her comfort zone into this flooded world, I guess. Kind of weird. But I don't know. We'll follow her along on this mission, see what happens. It looks cute. If the artwork inside is like the cover, it looks so cute. And I like anything where kids can be the heroes,
Yep. I saw this one too and thought, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. I mean, she's paddling a little raft with a teddy bear and a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cute.
And the teddy bear's standing up.
Yeah. Like a
little
demon
robot.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Wow, that went dark fast.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that kind of trip you out if your Teddy Ruxpin could get up and walk? It was already freaky he could talk.
Mm.
Especially when you put a metallic
in
there.
Yeah, he could play heavy metal too, so, depends on which
and
tape you put
backwards
in.
if you fast forward and hit play at the same time.
Wow.
As a preacher's kid, we had to amuse ourselves.
Not to mention push the boundaries.
Right?
Alrighty, Mike.
Wow. Okay. Well, while we're in Darkland.
You have to follow that. I'm sorry.
While we're off in the darkness. My second pick is from Avatar Press. And this is called Nightmares of Providence. This is listed as a number one. I hope this is a series because it sounds really cool. But this is a oversized book in black and white of art that is at least loosely Lovecraft inspired, which, I'm down for that because, one, black and white art makes some of the best horror art anyway. And, I like me a little bit of Lovecraft, so I'm very much interested in checking this one out.
Nice.
Is this based on the comic book that they did earlier, Providence?
I am not certain. I imagine so, at least to an extent. Like I said, I don't think there's really a story here, so I think this is just an art book, but I imagine there's a lot of the same stuff going on.
Okay.
Alrighty. I am next, and for my second choice is also from Marvel Comics, and it's the Complete Kirby War and Romance collection. This collects material from Battle issues 64 through 70, Battleground number 14, Sergeant Fury 1 through 8, and 10 through 20 and 25. Love Romances 83 through 85, 87 through 88, and 96 through 106. My Own Romance 71 through 76, and Teenage Romance 84 86. When you think of Jack Kirby, you obviously think of the superheroes and some of the sci-fi elements, but most probably don't think about the fact that, he did a lot of war comics. I didn't know he did romance books, but, they were really big in the 50s and 60s and early 70s. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So it collects a lot of the material from those days back in Marvel, and according to the synopsis on the romance titles, many of them have been restored directly from Kirby's original art. That's cool.
That's going, son.
And there's actually with this hardcover, there's actually two different covers. There's one that's has a war image, and then the other one's obviously a romance one. So kind of cool that they did that. So
it's a lot of material, if nothing else.
It's a lot of material, and it's Kirby art, and it's listing Stan Lee as the writer.
Interesting. Sounds
That's
good.
very cool.
Alrighty, Les.
My second choice comes from Artists, Writers, and Artisans. This is the story of Marge. Marge is a crook. She is being chased by a deputy marshal. She is also a temporal criminal. She passes through time to steal the sparkly things that she can get. She has had a trail from the Big Bang to the 95th Reich, and like I said, the deputy marshal is hot on her trail. Marge's worthless ex and his scummy partner are trying to use Marge to their benefit. Marge has an ally, a guy named Tim, and Tim is just a head. This is Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal #1. I am excited about this one because I've seen some of the artwork and such from the handouts that Upshot was issuing. I am definitely down for this series. It's a series of 8, so nice finite story for a time-traveling criminal.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. And if that wasn't enough of a sales pitch right there, did you notice who the writer is on this?
Yes, I did. Garth Ennis.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, this was on my radar as well. So I definitely love the idea. So I'm sure it's going to be a really fun story.
Twisted story.
Time travel stories should be twisted, but anyway.
Yeah,
not going there. Not going there.
All right. Any special shout-outs this week?
No, not me.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay. We will move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes to Culture Podcasts Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. We highly recommend you check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Potter and Family, who've been so gracious enough to spread the word of fellowship by retweeting our links. And for you to be able to check them out, just go to Twitter and do a search, #Potter and Family, all one word. Just scroll through, and whatever catches your eye, download that episode and knock yourself out. We also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. Definitely want you to check out their fine music. There'll be a link in the show notes where you'll be able to do that as well. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any kind of questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. And there are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the website and go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out. I've already told you about our Discord. There's an invite on the main page. We do have a channel specifically designed for feedback. Or if you want to just reach out to us personally, just send us a DM. You can be more than happy to listen to you. There's also social media. We're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. And obviously we're on Twitter, @FellowshipGeeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would take a couple moments to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. All right. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, and one other thing. This is actually episode 250.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Yay.
So, happy 250 for us. So, can't believe we've done 250 of these things, but here we go.
What were we thinking?
Yeah.
Who do we blame?
I can think of two people.
At least.
I'm sorry.
And on that note, thank you for listening. We do appreciate your support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Until next time,